Okay. Oh, what's this? You think you can hide over there? I got 6 bullets. Exactly 6. Please. Oh! Oh! What happens when you mix a couple college roommates, a Half-Life inspiration, and 5 years of efforts with a small team? Hello everybody, this is Robert from the West Network, and it's my pleasure today to review the game Industria, and at what price is it worth the purchase. Industria was released on September 30th by its publisher Head Up Games, also known for coming out with well-known titles such as Portal and Walking Bridge Constructor, as well as a few other games. It took 6 years to make the game with an impressively small team, starting with just Steven Chapman and David Jungnickel. Steven took care of development, level design, and solved a lot of problems the game faced. David, on the other hand, took on the 3D modeling, texture, and writing. Together, they created the foundation of the game. Initially, the game was going to be an entirely different genre and title, inspired by some game known as Half-Life 2. After speaking with the game designer for Half-Life, however, the pair changed their strategy. The title changed from Project 15 to Industria, and the plot was adjusted accordingly. Over the course of production, the team grew from the 2 to 8 individuals having worked on the game, but never more than 6 at a time. For reference, the first BioShock game had 20 employees on staff. So, for a group of students working a full-time job while making the game, I can only describe as impressive. Together, they've created their company Bleak Mill and released Industria in 2021. Industria was not a long game, only requiring a few hours. The game estimate is 4 hours to play through, to which I beat in 3.5 hours. For this review, I'll be going over the story, gameplay, style, and moments worth remembering. Starting out with the story, the game begins with a mysteriousness that leaves the player curious as to what will happen. Your character, Anna, spends the game finding her work colleague in an alternate dimension. As the game progresses, you meet another survivor while uncovering the secrets of the new world. I must say, the game left me curious to explore further into this post-apocalyptic world, seeing the scenery, exploring the structures, and reading the variety of story points throughout the game left a steady stream of information that wasn't overwhelming, but comfortably waist-high. I will say, however, there are weaknesses of the story that are caused by a small studio, leading to issues in the story and continuity. If 5 is the neutral point, I'd say a fair rating of the story is a 7.5. To say that Industria isn't revolutionary is a fair statement when it comes to its gameplay. Being a small studio, Bleak Mill couldn't produce a major lineup of firearms and explosives to shake the FPS world. What it did do, however, was provide the standard lineup of weapons. You can choose between your standard melee weapon, pistol, machine gun, rifle, or any other weapon that you may come across. There aren't any unique customizations for the weapons, but the audio design of them is pretty good, in particular for the rifle. Hearing that sweet sound of that trigger pulling is phenomenal. Overall, gameplay isn't bad, but really not that great. Simply average, leading to my rating of a 5 out of 10. In regards to the style, the game was inspired by Half-Life, but reminds me quite a bit of BioShock. Pleasant and enjoyable, but not original by any means. It makes up for this with its scenery, which I'll cover more in a minute. I will say for now though, that not entirely everything feels rendered, but some areas are a pleasure to sink in. Due to the lack of originality though, I'm going to give this a quick 4 out of 10, and let's move on to the moments, because that's where this game shines. What is that? What is this bird? There There are several moments in the game that are just simply wonderful. Many of the times going through the world environment, I found myself pausing and just soaking in the environment, seeing the cables flooding the streets, inspecting the machines built into the structures, and wondering what the downfall of this world looked like. Another scene, a giant wandering through the streets of the city, was well worth the pause. Learning the backstory of one of the side characters is worthwhile and is a pleasant tragedy for the story. These types of moments are scattered everywhere throughout the game, but the length of the game hurts it, leading to fewer moments overall. It's not perfect by any means, and it's not filled to the brim for hours and hours of emotional content, but it's still fairly nice. And for that, I'll give this a solid 6 out of 10. Not all games can be reviewed the same. A strategy game cannot be held to the same standards as a survival game, nor an FPS held to the same standards as a mystery. Therefore, we have the magic of weighted averages. You see, in a game such as Industria, the story is paramount. As Industria is more of a mystery, the moments of the game are important as well. Trailing behind it, the style and the gameplay are equally important to one another, but still necessary for a good game. Together, the weighted averages led me to rating the game as a 6.6 out of 10. A nice game, not one of the greats, but I definitely don't regret buying it. But the question is begged, is it worth the buy? Well, that question is defined by the price. And if the game was a penny, it'd be a steal. $100 a scam. We need a standard. So, let's start easy with a $60 game that is perfect. 10 out of 10. It sounds great, but a perfect game with 1 hour of gameplay is simply not worth the $60. 5 hours of gameplay would still be way too short. 10 sounds fair though. With this and a little math, we can state that 0.6 times the hours of gameplay times the average weighted rating would lead us to a reasonable price for a game. With our weighted average of 6.6 and the 3.5 hours it took me to beat the game, we have a buy price of $13.86. So, at $20 is Industria a buy? No, I think not. Until it drops below $14, I would hold off on the purchase. The game goes on sale frequently though, so if you spot it in one of the Steam sales, it may be worth picking up. It's important to note that the game was made with a team of only 8 people, 6 at a single time, considering that years of the team's lives went into this project and that they were not trained game developers. They did a superb job. I purchased the game at a discount at $16, but I'm looking forward to the next one. If they're able to expand on the story and get some support, they could really make something special here, and I'll 100% play it. Thanks a lot everybody for watching the video, and y'all have a wonderful day.